Okay, so let's start for today. So before starting anything, I want to ask everyone like how many of you now have installed the PostgreSQL in your system and practiced anything, whatever we have discussed? Yeah, Ash, you want to say something? Okay. You have installed it. Like, did you get chance to run something, a few queries or some? Okay, nice. Okay. Anyone else like what about others? I know I had Vasanti have done it. You have done it. Anyone else? Ravi, Sumit, or pardon? Okay, nice, nice. Okay, so yeah, let's have a recap of the last class in next first 10 minutes, and then we will move to the new topics. Okay, so let's start. So we have a table named student. If I want to select all the data from student, what is the query? Select star from student, right? So we have three columns in a student table. One is ID, one is student name, one is marks. And you can see that like some marks, like Sachin has 99 marks, Dinesh has 99 marks, Venkatesh has 91, Virat has 91. So there are some marks which are repeated in this table, like more than one student got same mark in this case. So we have learned a new query or new clause like in the last section, which is called group by. So anyone remember what is group by? Anyone want to tell me like what was group by? Who were not there in the last session? Okay, anyone else? Okay, let's start from the something easier. Okay, suppose I want to calculate the sum of all of marks of all of the student, then what will be the query? Anyone? Okay, Vasanti, do you want to tell us like what will be the query for finding a sum of all the marks of a student table? I can't hear you. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, everyone, can you please try to type a query in this chat box where you just it's very simple. I'm just asking that I need a SQL query which can return or display the sum of all the marks of all the students. Then what could be the query? Okay, let's start from one step more back. Okay, I want to, huh, pardon? Uh, Insert into the student. See, insert query is used to insert a new student in this table, right? Okay, so Sumit mentioned one query, select some marks from student. So yeah, I was asking about to display the marks of a student or sum of the marks of all the student. So this is correct. This is calculating the sum of the marks. We have learned this sum function yesterday. So insert if to insulting a new data. I don't want insulting a new data. I want to display a data. Like what I wanted is like not displaying the full data. I wanted to display the sum of the marks of all the students. So this is the simple thing. We just need to put sum function and in brackets a column name. Whatever the column I wanted to like get some for. So this is like select some marks from student. Okay. Okay, one more question. Suppose I wanted to display all the student data for students Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul. Only Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul. I want to display the data for only three students Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul. Then what will be the query? Everyone, please try to write whatever, even if it is right or wrong, that's not a problem. But at least try, because if you will not try, it will just become a like other classes in college classes. It will not be any benefit. So I want to display all the details for Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul. Then what can be the query? Hey, no one. Okay, only Sumit is replying. So my question is simple. So see, if I do select all from a student, it is printing record for all the student, right? But I want to display record only for Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul. I don't want record for anyone named Venkatesh, Dinesh, Jaspreet, Virat, Rishabh, anyone else. I just want to. It could this table can have thousand of rows, but I just wanted to display data for Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul. So what should I do? So this is the query provided by Sumit, and let's run this. Okay, just the column name is the student name, not name. So try that. Okay. Oh, oh, you can write in this chat box, like where in call messages, you can simply write where chat with. You can click on this Google Meet chat with everyone. There's the small button. Here, Vasanti, you can see something like this. Okay, thank you. Okay, Sumit, one thing. when you write queries, SQL queries, and when you want to give the data part like Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul, and if data is a string, that needs to be in single quote, not in double quote. SQL doesn't allow double quote. Data should always be in single quote. So your query is correct, but yeah, data should be in single quote. So student name, student name. Okay, so it printed the result for Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul. There were two Rahul, so it printed the result for both of the Rahuls. Okay. So yeah, I think these query which I asked is like simplest one, just a select query with a where condition, and it was covered in the very first session. So if you people are like, if anyone is not able to answer this question, then it's like literally worrying thing for you guys, because SQL is one of the most important thing for any IT or computer science job. It doesn't matter that which technology you are going to work on, even if it is Python, .NET, Java, anything, but SQL will be always be must. So in any project, SQL will always be used. So if you do not understand or you cannot write a very basic queries, then it will become literally a big problem. So I am again asking everyone, please do some practice. Ask me questions on WhatsApp group anytime. It's not like that you can ask only on Saturday, Sunday. Ask the questions anytime. So if you are not practicing, then literally there's no meaning of this class. Covering the topics, you can easily get any video on YouTube. You can easily get all the content on Google. Everything is available in Geeks or Tutorials Point. But yeah, that is, yeah, okay. So Vasanti added one query. Okay, let's try this one also. Select a student name from a student where student name like A. Okay, when you are writing like, you need to give the single quote. Single quote, and marks is greater than 90. Okay, let's try this. Okay, where student name, sorry. Okay, so see what data it is giving. Sachin, Rahul, Saurav, Jaspreet, Virat, Rishabh, because all of the marks have greater than 90 for all of these person, and all of the name contains A, right? So but like, why did you type anything like select like percentage? Are you asking question, or you were replying the answer of the my previous question? Because I asked data only for Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul. So how can we, if you think that all the three name contains A, that's why you added this A. That's obviously gives you Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul, but that's not a correct way, because when I am asking only for 3%, then you should show the result for only for those 3%. It's not like that you can give any extra. If you are giving any extra detail, then your query will be wrong. So that's why this is a better answer what Sumit gave. And just now, like Ayush added one more answer, which is also good, and that answer is this one. So select a student name from a student where student name in Sachin, Saurav, Rahul. So this is another way of writing this. Okay, yeah. So there are two ways of writing the same query. This one, either we put all conditions, all the names in or, like student name equal to Sachin, or student name equal to Saurav, or student name equal to Rahul. Otherwise, we have another option where we can write student name in. and inside in brackets we can have a like a list of values. So we added all the three values here. So this is also a correct answer. Okay. Okay, nice. At least, okay, okay. And one more thing, in Ayush answer, I want to add one more thing. See, whenever someone asks you any query, maybe in any exam or any company interview, or whenever you will need it, if someone is asking select, I need all the details for student Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul, then there are two parts of this sentence. One is like who detail I want, for which you have added where student name equal to Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul, because I have asked only for three students. But what information I asked? I asked all the information, like all the details. In that case, you need to write star. Yeah, instead of name, because if you select name, then it will print only the name. So whoever is asking the question will always ask you that what you need to display. You need to display all the information, or maybe you just need to display marks of the student. So whatever they asked us to display only those things. So I have to display everything is correct. But if I have asked print the marks for Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul, then we should do this only marks. And if I ask to print the name and marks of Sachin, Saurav, and Rahul, then it should be student name comma marks. Okay. So yeah, this is nice. So we have had a query like this for we have this sum, the functions which we did. We learned a lot of function in the last class. It was sum, count. I guess there were few more which we have learned apart from sum, count. Then length. It was substring, trim, upper, lower, lpad, rpad, replace, reverse. So these were the topics which were covered in the last session. I will make sure that you guys get the video. So there are two options. Actually, what happens that I sent video to Abhinav and he shared with everyone. So there's another option that maybe if I will take all of your email IDs myself and I will do it myself. Otherwise, it is a two-step process. I will change it to one step. That's not a problem. Okay. Hmm. Okay. So yeah, this is nice. Next. Okay, another, I want to ask one more question for as a revision. So now I want to display all the details of all of the students, but this that detail should be displayed sorted by marks in descending order. Like whoever get the highest mark should be in the top of the table. Whoever get the second highest mark should be in the second top of the table, right? So I want to display all the records of all the students, but that should be in sorted order of marks in descending sorted order. Okay. So yeah, Sumit added a query. So select all from student order by mark DESC. That's correct. Nice. Both. Yeah, Ayush. It's correct. So here you can see I am displaying all the details iftar for all the detail from student and then order by mark DSC, because I want to display all the records of all the student with order by marks in descending order. This is again correct. So next question is I want to display all the records of all the students in descending order of their marks as I mentioned. Sorry, but I want to display only those student records who got at least 95 marks. I don't want to see the details of the student who didn't achieve less than 95. So I want to display the records for all the students who got more than 95, and the record should be displayed in descending order of their marks. So I just added one more condition to this query, that this query is like kind of correct, but we need to add one more condition. Only display those details where student marks is greater than or equal to 95, right? So where I need to put this where condition? Can I write something like this, where marks is greater than equal to 95? Is it fine? Anyone? Okay, I have sent one query. Okay, so let me tell you, this is not fine. Why? Yeah, exactly. So when we are writing a SQL query, there is sequence of every words, every keyword. So where should always be after the table name, like after the from. So first we need to like filter the records. Where does is a filtering of the record. Like it like filters out the record. So we get all the record where mark is greater than equal to 95, this query. After that, if I order by marks in descending order, then it will be ordered like this. So what Ayush mentioned in the channel is correct. Okay, nice. So this has been revived. After that, okay, let's cover a few more functions. Like we have sum, we have a count, right? So this will just count the marks of, like count the, okay, if I added count marks of the student, so tell me what it will print. So first I am running this query, select all from a student, then I am going to run select count marks from the student, and what will be the result? Anyone can answer what will be the result? You can see that full record of that full table. Yeah, it will print a number of records where marks is present. So in every record marks is present, and how many records are there? It's nine. So it will just print 9. Okay, nice. Okay, so what else we tried? Okay, suppose I am adding one thing. Select length of student name where student name equal to section. So this is printing 6. So this is also like there were some more function like length. It find the length of any string. Okay, if I write something simply like this, student name comma student, length of student from student, I just remove this and I will write like this, it will print something like this. Sachin has 6 character, Rahul has 5 character, Venkatesh 8, Saurav 6, Dinesh 6, right? So this is for finding the length of a string. If I want to print the name of all the students in uppercase, I can write something like this. So these were the few functions we tried in the last session. I am not going to repeat each and every one. So these were the some. I am just adding it here in the chat, what we have practiced in the last session. So count, sum, length, substring, trim, upper, lower, lpad, rpad, replace, reverse. Okay. Okay. So that is nice. Okay, so let's create a new table. Or so okay, let's have this table only. So in this table we have 3 column: ID, student name, and marks. And I student name and marks are very clear, like what information it represents. It represents the marks of the student and it represents the name of the student. What is ID? ID, you can see it as then like ID number, or maybe a student roll number of kind of thing, right? And this number should always be unique, correct? If I will add something like insert into student, I put the name of the columns, ID, student name, and marks, and I am entering values, suppose 1 comma okay, suppose I am entering something like this: insert to student ID, student name, marks, 1 Ayush and 99, and ID 1 is already present, correct? And if I want to run this query, will it give error or it will insert a new row? Yeah, it should give error, but currently it just inserted the value, and there are now two rows with ID 1, correct? Because I never told SQL, I never told Postgres that this column needs to be unique. While creating the table, I just added 3 columns: ID, student name, and marks. This is a computer, whatever is doing on this is not a real person who automatically knows that ID should be unique. For SQL, for this server, the ID is just as another column like student name or marks. So computer doesn't know that this needs to be unique. We as a person can understand that ID is something that needs to be unique, but system doesn't know automatically that ID needs to be unique. So we have to add something to make sure that ID will be unique. So how we can do it? Okay, let me tell you. So suppose when I created the table, suppose I am going to create a new table now. What is happening? Little slow. Uh, Cursor is not okay. Now we have create table. I created a table like this. I am going to drop the original table. So yeah, for deleting a table, we have seen the command like this, right? You remember? If drop table student. If I want to delete the full table, all the table, not in the data in the table. So if I delete table student, what it will do? It will just drop the full table. So if I refresh this now, student table has been removed, all the data has been removed, correct? So I'm going to create it again. This time I will do something like this. So first column will be ID as it was there previously. Next column will be again a student name, okay, and we have can enter like varchar 50. Suppose let's add one more column, address, or I am adding like city, again varchar 50, and let's add a few more information. Okay, let's start with this. Okay, if I will create this table, it will again have 3 columns: ID, student name, and city. But I till now, till this point, I never mentioned that any column needs to be unique or what. So how we can do this? What I can do, if I will add something like primary key after the ID and will create this table. The table has been created, and in this what happens in this query, I have mentioned that ID column will be treated as a primary key. Now what is a primary key? Primary key is something which can identify the full row, which can identify a unique row from the table. So it means ID will always be unique. Now if you have inserted one ID, it cannot be inserted again. And what is the advantage of doing so? If you know that this column is always unique in your table, so if you know the value of that column, suppose I know that there is a column, there is a ID with value 4, then you can get the data of 4. Like for example, you as a student, every student have a unique roll number in whatever the university he's on. So that roll number identifies the student, and if someone has the roll number in the university, he or she can get all the details of that student just from that roll number, because that roll number is always unique. But if I want to just get the details of Sachin in the whole university, no one can tell us. There could be hundreds of Sachin in the whole university, right? But if I know the roll number of the Sachin, that roll number will be unique, always unique throughout the university. So that's why having a unique value in any data is very, very useful. And how we can have a unique value, we can add a column called, we can add a constraint called primary key. So I have added it like this. So I am going to create a table. This table has been created. Now if I would insert something like this, okay, just change this to city and say Noida. Let's add a few more of those. Okay, spelling of Noida is incorrect. Anyways, I have done 3 queries as of now. If I see this record, it is saying something like this. We have 3 data. One, Ayush, Noida. Second, Ravi, Gurgaon. Third, Sachin, Mumbai. Okay. So first of all, again, one more question for everyone of you. I want to correct the spelling of this Noida. What query I need to write? Anyone? How I can correct the spelling of Noida? I had a typo and now I want to correct the spelling. What can I do? Yeah, exactly. If we want to update the data, we need update query. And how we need to write update query? Update, then we need to write table name. What is table name? Student. And then we need to write set and then column name. And what is the column name we need to update? Which column name we need to update? City. And what is the value I want to put? New value, it's Noida. And where I need to, if I will just run this query, it will update all the 3 values to Noida. But where I want to update, where ID equal to 1 or where student name equal to Ayush, I can write any condition which makes sure that there will be only one row. So if I print something like this, it updated, and if I print all the records, it has been updated. Okay. Okay, next question. Suppose I am going to insert one more row in a student table with Saurav Kolkata, and I am putting ID equal to 1. And now as ID is the primary key, which means it will always be unique. If I want to enter this, what will happen? It is saying duplicate key violates unique constraint student p key. So whenever I create a primary key, PostgreSQL server automatically gives a name to it. So it gives a name like student underscore p key. So that's for internal purpose. We don't need to know this name, but it added a unique constraint student p key. And it is saying that duplicate key violates. So what you are trying to enter is a duplicate key. One is already there, and it violates the constraint key ID 1 equal to already exists. So it doesn't allow me to enter any duplicate record. So if we will suppose we are creating a big, someone joins the call. Okay. Hi Neha. Uh, she left. Anyways. Okay. Pardon? उत्कर्ष था. ओके ओके. यार ये उत्कर्ष और हर्ष अलग अलग लोग हैं. ओके. कंफ्यूजन है। ओके। हाँ मुझे लगता है उत्कर्ष। यार एक बात बता, तुम्हारा नाम उत्कर्ष है हर्ष है? क्योंकि वो व्हाट्सएप पे। अच्छा तो मतलब दोनों ही नाम है ना, निक नेम और वो है ना, तो दोनों ही तुम्हारे ही है ना? ऐसा तो नहीं किसी और की आईडी से लॉगिन होते हो तो उत्कर्ष आ जाता है? हाँ। मैंने कहा मैं उत्कर्ष उत्कर्ष बोलता रहता हूँ। ओके ठीक है। Okay, so where were we? So, anyways, so right now we have seen that if we have added a primary key, it is not allowing you to add the same ID. And what is the advantage of you? Suppose you are creating a big project for a university which will manage all the student data, all the teachers data, all the financial data, everything. In that case, it is must that whenever you are creating a thing called roll number or ID, take it as a unique key or primary key. What will otherwise there are chances when someone, suppose a new student joins your university and you want to enter the data and by mistake someone enters an old ID, it will become a disaster. If two-person get the same ID or same roll number, it will become a disaster. Everything will be messed up. That's why it's always good to have one unique key. So whatever we are doing here, whatever we are doing in SQL, try to relate it to the real world problem, because that's what we always do while developing any application, while developing any website. What is the motto of developing any application, any website? Always the motto is to make life easier for the real peoples. Okay, so if what we are doing, if doing for someone who can use our application, and so try, I'll be need to try whether the real world. So in the real world, I am taking this example that university have a student and that ID should always be unique. That's why I added it is unique. Okay. Okay, let's create a few more table. So now I am gonna create one more table. Let me think. Okay, let's create one more table. Create branch. When I'm putting the name branch, I like a branch in a college, like CS, IT, EC, right? So like this, create branch, create table branch, table branch, and let's give a name of branch name, something you can give like varchar, give 50, and I can give something like what else we can have in gram, like branch short code. We usually have one short code for a branch, short code like CSE or IT. Full name could be information technology and computer science, right? So short code could be of suppose 5 characters, and we can have then head of department, HOD, for that branch. So given any name here like this, correct? So suppose I am creating this table. So this is contains the information of branch. Now in the branch table, what will be the unique? HOD will be a unique, branch shortcode will be unique, or branch name will be unique. HOD will obviously not unique. HOD will never be unique. There are chances that same person is holding like head of department for both IT and CS, right? But branch name and branch shortcode, mostly both will be unique. But if you want to take one, I will go with branch shortcode. It's better to take branch shortcode as a unique value, CSE or IT or whatever. Full name will always be also unique, but ideally let's take this as a primary key. Okay. Even I could have done one more thing. I have have taken one more column called ID, because even I can provide my own ID to every branch. It should also work. But yeah, we can also use the branch shortcode as a primary key. So I have taken this. I have not created table yet. I just written the query. I am going to create one more table, and that table is like professors. Okay, and what value will be the professor contain? So professor will have a name. I can give professor name. It's a varchar 50. Then we will have something like uh, again, what more information we can say for professor? Let's say qualification. Okay, what all other information we need for a professor? We can again add a city for that professor, like we have in a student. Okay, so I did three information for a professor: professor name, qualification, and city. But if I am creating these three columns, is there anything which can be unique out of these three? Anyone? Ayush, Ravi, Sumit, Utkarsh, Vasanti? Yeah, because professor name can never be unique. Two person can have same name. Qualification can never be unique. City can never be unique. So it's better, as we have added ID for a student, we should also have an ID for a professor. So let's add ID. So every professor will also have some ID. So have this as a primary key. That's right. So I am creating this table professor. Okay, comma is missing. So I created this table professor. After that, I am gonna enter some value in this professor table. ID, comma professor name, comma qualification, comma city. Now do something like ID 1 and professor name, suppose qualification, suppose PhD, and city could be anything, say Noida. Inserted. Okay, now let's add 2 or 3 more records. Anything deaf. And then we can add one more, suppose say 2 and 3, and just I would add like PhD and city as anything like. Okay, let's check that here again. And so entered this, entered this. Okay, so how many professors we have now? Select all from out of these 3 professors. Okay. Okay, now I have now currently 2 tables. One is student, one is professor. We have one more table branch. I have not created it yet, right? So in the branch table, you have noticed that I have added a HOD. HOD will also be a professor, right? So one of the professor of these 3 will be the HODs of all the branches, right? Suppose I am gonna enter 2 branches. One is CS and one is ECE, and then I want to put the HOD. Suppose I want to do something like this: insert into branch name, branch shortcode and HOD, and then values. Here I want to insert something like computer science. We have one thing CSC, and then I want to add up HOD, and suppose I want to add HOD as like Devdutt. Okay, and in here we have again, suppose electronics and communication, electronic communication, I don't know what, and at ECE. Okay, and I want to put something like RD Sharma. Okay, so the thing is, out of we can have like thousands of professors in the university. Out of those thousands of professors, maybe five of them will be the HOD of five branches, right? So I, in the branch table, I wanted a column which can tell who is the HOD. One way is doing this: we added a column HOD, give it as a varchar, and added the name. But now tell me one thing: if I added a name of HOD here and I added suppose value Devdutt, so by checking this table I can tell that Devdutt is the HOD of computer science, right? But then suppose someone asks me, okay, who is the professor of, who is the HOD of the computer science branch, and in which city does he lives, which city does he belong to? Can I tell? By seeing this table I will get the name of the HOD Devdutt, and after that if we will see this table, we know that Devdutt city of Delhi, correct? But the thing is, this table can contain thousands of rows, thousands of professors, and there are chances that there are more than one professor with name Devdutt, correct? And suppose there is one more Devdutt, and suppose he is MTech and from any other city or the, then how can I tell now? Suppose I want to know the name of the professor, name of the HOD of computer science, and want to know the city of the HOD. Can I know by checking the data? This data can tell us the HOD of the computer science is Devdutt, but this data can never tell me that which city Devdutt belongs to, because there are two Devdutt available. So if we do something like this, this will create some confusion. It's not a right way. So what should we do? Instead of having HOD varchar like this, what we are going to do? We are going to do HOD. We will leave it as HOD, but, or you can do it something like HOD ID. HOD ID. And this will be a special type of column. So this will hold, okay, suppose I had written HOD ID, and here instead of Devdutt I will add the professor ID. So Devdutt's ID is 2 and I added it like 2. RD Sharma ID is 1, I added it as 1 while inserting the data itself. So suppose if I have these data in my tables, now can I tell who is computer science professor? Computer science, who is computer science HOD? HOD of computer science has ID 2, with ID 2, like as we have student has roll number, similarly professor will have also one ID. So ID, like professor with ID 2 is HOD of computer science, and if I want to see who has ID 2 in the professor table, I will get the name, I will get the city, I will get the qualification, everything, right? So it's better if we have multiple tables, and if we want to create a relation between those two tables, like in this case we have a table called branch, in this case we have a table called professor, and I want to create a relationship between branch and professor, because one of the professor will be the HOD of one of the branch. So I want a relationship between branch and professor. So I will add primary key of this into this table in some column. Primary key of professor like ID will be added here in HOD ID. Okay. Do you get my point, everyone? Nice. So now one question: if we write something like this, and I try to insert, suppose ECE, and I try to insert 9, and 9 is not even present here in HOD ID in professor table, right? There are only 4 professor. If I want to try to enter like this, will it allow or not? Ideally it should not, but it will, because for the branch table, HOD ID is simply an integer value. It doesn't know that this is related to professor. We know it, but this table doesn't know that branch table is related to professor. Did we tell anywhere that branch table is related to professor? No, right? So we know, as a human being, we know that we are treating HOD ID is one of the professor ID, right? But table doesn't know, so table will allow you to enter 9 here. But this is a problem, because someone enters an incorrect value, then we never know, like it's the incorrect or incorrect. So what we can do in this case, if we want to create a relationship, if we want to create a relationship between two tables like professor and branch, then as we have previously we have learned primary key, now we have one more type of key which we called as foreign key. There is one more type of key which we called foreign key, and then now I will tell you. So there are various databases like Postgres, MySQL, and we have MS SQL. Everywhere there is a different syntax of writing a foreign key. So let's try a few syntax. So writing foreign key in Postgres has a little different sequence. So for example, I have written primary key here. Let's try to add something like foreign key. Okay, even if I write something like this, foreign key, okay, not underscore, obviously it's not there, it's a foreign key, which means that HOD ID is a foreign key. It's not a primary key of the table, it's a foreign key. But of which table? We also need to relate this branch table to some table, right? So I need to make sure that this branch table is related to this table. So I will write something like foreign key, and then I can write references. This is a foreign key, and it references which table? Primary professor. And in professor we have 4 column: ID, professor, qualification, and city. Which column it is going to refer? ID. So in professor we can write something like this, ID. Okay, I'm not very sure that this syntax is 100% correct or not, so let's try this. So yeah, it is not allowing you to write something like this. So there is a little different syntax. So what I need to write, suppose I will add a word, there's a word. So all these things, primary key, foreign key, are called constraint in the language of SQL, because it is constraining the data, it is restricting the data, right? So what? Okay. Okay, so let's try the difficult syntax. I wanted to know that if there is a simpler syntax. So how we need to write, the ideal way of doing this is like constraint, and then give a name of this constraint. I am giving the name of one key like fk branch underscore professor. So whatever the two table I am connecting, branch and professor, I given a name fk branch underscore professor. This name can be anything, abcd. Okay, this it can be abcd. But what I need to write, after entering all the 3 column names, I can write comma, then constraint, then a constraint name, then I need to write foreign key. In the foreign key I need to write which column of this table will be the have this constraint, so it will be HOD underscore ID. Then I need to give a word referencer, then the foreign table name and the column of the table. So if I will run this will run. Okay, so table is now created. So if I select all from a branch, So it has three: branch name, branch shortcode, and HOD ID, correct? But this HOD ID is have now a special thing, that this is the foreign key of the this is foreign key in diff table, and this refers to the primary key ID of diff table, correct? So if I try to enter something like this, okay, it has been name has been changed to HOD ID. So let me change the query. Okay, so if I entered HOD ID and if I do something like this, it will display like this: computer science, CSE, and HOD ID of 2, correct? And the 2 refers to this Devdutt. And suppose if I want to enter one more query, electronic communication, ACE, and 9. Now it is not even allowing me. It is saying insult or update on branch violates foreign key constraint FK branch professor. HOD ID 9 is not present in table professor. So now my SQL server knows that HOD ID will always be one of the value from the professor table. If professor table doesn't contain an ID, that ID cannot be used in the HOD table. Correct? So this is how what is the like benefit of having this relation. By adding the relation between branch and professor, we are making sure that no one can enter an incorrect HOD ID which even doesn't exist in the real world. If a professor with a roll number or with a ID 9 doesn't exist, then you can never you can never set that professor as the head of department of any branch, because it's not even present. So we always like creating tables, we will always make sure that we will have a good primary keys, we will always have a foreign keys. If any of the two table are related, always make sure that relate it with some foreign key constraint. Okay, so now let's enter one more value. Suppose CSE and electronic communication, I want to add 1. So RD Sharma will become the HOD of electronic communication. Okay, correct? So now branch table have 2 branches, professor table has 4 professor. So two tables, both tables are interconnected. So we have learned how to use primary key, we have learned how to use foreign key. So syntax of foreign key is a little difficult than primary key. Primary key we can simply write after the column name and column type, data type. But for foreign key in PostgreSQL it's a little difficult, that we need to put a comma at the end of all the column name. Then we need to put a word called constraint. Then we give a name of the constraint. It can be anything, but it's better you start it with fk underscore, and then maybe the first table name, and then maybe the second table name, and then foreign key, and then the column name of current table, which table we are talking about right now. So in this table, column name is HOD ID, and then references, then the foreign table, that is professor, and the primary key of the professor table, its ID. Understood? Okay, now what is the advantage of doing so? There are a lot of advantage. So now I am adding one more query. So what I am gonna do, I am gonna do select all from branch, sorry, from select all from branch. Now I am gonna teach you one more word, one more keyword: branch join professor on branch dot HOD ID equal to professor dot ID, and see what result it will give. So why I did is, as these two tables are related and we know these two tables are related, I added branch join professor, and on which column it is related, branch dot HOD ID equal to professor dot ID. So what it does, it makes it gives us the data like this: computer science, CSC, and 2. These are the data from the branch table, and these are the data from the professor table. But it made sure that it gives the professor table data against the correct data of branch table. So computer science HOD is Devdutt, and it is giving the correct data against the data. It's not giving computer science then RD Sharma or computer science James Watt. It is giving the correct data because these are have been, I have added a condition that where HOD ID equal to professor ID. So this is what is the benefit of having these relation like foreign key. Then we can use the join, and join will always be on some two tables, like diff table this column equal to diff table this column. Okay, now if we see the result of this table, suppose I have 10 branch, I can simply get the result of, like, I simply get the name of all the HODs of that branch. I can simply get the city of those HOD. I can simply get the qualification of those HOD. So this data is much useful data, right? So if I just want to print it, maybe I just want to print it in my website, like all the branch names. We have a website. We are going to develop a website page where we are adding a section like branches, what branch we support in our university. We can have this data where we have a branch name, we have a professor HOD name, and we have a HOD qualification. We may have a city or whatever. So this type of information is quite useful. So yeah, this is like what is the benefit of using primary key, foreign key, and the join. So this is the simplest join I teach you. There are a lot of more join information, but yeah, I will come one by one. So this is the way how we can do it, right? So the syntax of writing join is select all from table 1, join table 2 on table 1 dot column table equal to table 2 dot column. Okay. So yeah, this is a very much useful information. This is the join. Now tell me one thing. We have two branches and we have four professor. It give me all the two branches name, but it doesn't give me all the four professor name, because though two of these four professor are not in the any branch, not HOD in the any branch, correct? But suppose I want the opposite data, means I want all the professor name, all the professor detail, and along with the professor detail, I want to know if someone is HOD of some branch, write it. If it is not HOD of that branch, just leave those columns blank or something, but at least print all the professor name. Because currently what is happening, these two rows are kind of connected with these, out of these four rows. If all not four rows are not connected, it is not showing. But if I want something that it will show this, suppose I will put it like this: instead of professor join branch, if I will write, sorry, instead of branch join professor, I will write professor join branch. Does it make any difference? It's still same, right? Just the sequence of the columns got changed, swapped, right? Because now it is showing professor value first, then the branch value. But if still it is showing only two professor. If I want that all the four professor will be shown, instead of using join, I need to use left outer join. Left outer join. Okay, I have not selected full query. Select. Okay. I think I have not entered it. What? Select also professor. Give me a second. Yeah, it has only 3. So this is not entered yet in the table. Okay. So now we have 4 professor. For out of those 2 professor, we have a like branch name, because those are HOD. But these 2 professors are not HOD, so I have not written even any name here, right? It is coming as null. So what left outer join does, it makes sure that from the left side of the table, this is left side, right? Left side table is professor table. So from the professor table, each and every row should appear, even if it is not corresponding to any row in branch table or not. Okay. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but give me a 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. I am getting a call. Hello. Hello. Yes, please. हाँ जी बताइए. बताइए. नहीं अब अभी उसके किलोमीटर पूरे नहीं हुए हैं. मैं बता दूंगा जब करना होगा. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so what I was telling, if we do a simple join, like just join, what it was happening,
Yes, sir. Yes,
it
sir.
is printing only those rows which are present in both of the tables, like which are actually connected. But if I adding a left outer join, it means it will present all the rows from the first table, from the left table. In right table, if it is present, like if are connected, it will show the right table data. Otherwise, it will show null for those data. Right? Understood? So let me try to explain a little better way.
Yes, sir.
Give me a second.
No, sir.
Okay. So we have this table as branch. We have again this table as professor. Okay.
Understood, sir. Understood. But it's
So here we have CS and IT, and we can
Sir,
have maybe
understood,
some
sir.
more branches, CS, IT, and any other branch. We can
Hello, sir.
store professor here in the second table.
Hello.
So join
Hello, sir.
join join gives us only div data, which is common in both of the table. But when I am doing a left outer join, it makes sure that from the left table we will also get the full data. So now left outer join will give diff data, this and this, the full left table, and if it is a like a common thing in the second table, it will also print the second table. Otherwise, it will print as null. Okay. Any question in this join, left outer join and join? I still suggest that after today's class, create some table and try it yourself. Then you will certainly have a few more questions. Anyways, understood or any confusion? Anyone? Any confusion or understood? If you're saying something, I can't hear you. I should be anyone. I can't hear anyone, it seems. Give me a second. Hey, say something. Anyone say something? Some problem. Yeah, say something now. Hello. Yeah, now I can hear you. So some settings has been changed in my system. Okay, so okay. Anyone asked any question when I was not able to hear anyone voice for a few minutes. Okay, nice. So this is a join. So what we learned today, the most important thing which we learned today is primary key, foreign key, join and left outer join. Correct? Okay. There is a one more thing I want to tell you, which another topic is called inner query. There is a topic called inner query. So let me tell you what is inner query. Suppose now we have two table branch and we have a professor. We have some of the professor who are actually HOD. Not all the professors are HOD, correct? If I want to print the name of all the professors who are HOD, only those professors who are HOD, I don't want to print the names of the professor who are not HOD. One thing is I can do just a join like this, right? In the join, because it will print only those HOD. And I, instead of printing all the column, I just want to print one name, and I can simply write professor name. Correct? Okay, but another way of doing this, see, if we see the branch table, we know that only professor with ID 1 and 2 are HOD, correct? So if I will do something like select all from professor, only professor, where HOD ID in 1 comma 2, what it will print? Only the professor name, all the professor detail with ID 1 or 2, correct? In, sorry, I moved in. Not HOD ID, sorry. For this, it's ID in 1, 2. And if I type something like ID not in, there's one more word. Instead of in, we can also write not in. It will print all the professor who are not HOD. If I want professor who are HOD, I can write a ID in 1 or 2, right? But the thing is, this 1 or 2, I get this 1 or 2 by seeing the branch table manually. I saw the branch table manually and I checked that 1 and 2 professor are the HOD. That's why I can write like this. But this is not the correct way. So what I can do, instead of writing 1 and 2 like here, okay, suppose I am going to write one more query here. Suppose I am writing a query, select all from branch, and it is printing all the branch, right? Now I want to print only the HOD ID. I can write something like this. Right? And suppose this query, which is giving me all the HOD ID, I write inside this like this. Select all from professor where ID in, select HOD ID from branch. So it gives me all the professor detail who has ID present in this list. So this is a query, this is inner query, this is written in a bracket. So this query execute first. And what this query returns us is the list of all the HOD IDs in the branch table. And those HOD ID, I am passing it to the in function in clause of another query. It will work. And it doesn't even need that professor table and HOD table are professor table and branch table are connected or not. You can still run it, but yeah, obviously the real world makes sense only if these are connected. So in the inner query works like this, that you can have the result of one query inside, you can use the result of one query inside any other query. So instead of having a fixed data comma 1 comma 2, I can write something like this. Okay. Similarly, suppose I want to display the details of all the details of a professor who is HOD of CSE. I can write something like select all from professor where where ID equal to, then select HOD ID from branch where branch shortcode is CSV. So this is how we can use inner query. We can use the result of one query inside another query. So this is very simple. The result of one query will be used inside another query. It is called this inner query. So inner query is just a fancy term. I literally believe that using inner query is much simpler than using join. But yeah, most of the more both of these inner join, left outer join, and this query in the inner query all are important topics. So yeah, now not much more topics I'm going to cover today, but make sure that all these topics, primary key, foreign key, join, inner query, try these out yourself before tomorrow's class. It will really be helpful. And whatever the topic I have covered till yet, these topics I'm sure every one of you will use in every day of your job. In if you are going to do an IT sector job, you will use these query every day. Whatever other things you are gonna learn in your any other class, if you are gonna learn React, if you are gonna learn Node, if you are gonna learn Java or whatever, there are a lot of things which you are not gonna use every day, but SQL I'm sure that you are gonna use every day. So these are most important topic for every language. So make sure that try these out, do some practice. Sure. Okay, now and no other topic I'm going to cover today. Now a Q&A session. Anyone has any question, let me know. Yeah, please ask. नहीं है, बिल्कुल नहीं है. अगर नहीं भी होती, नहीं इनर क्वेरी में बिल्कुल जरूरी नहीं भी होती तो भी हम कर सकते हैं. ओके. नहीं नहीं, इवन ज्वाइन के लिए भी जरूरी नहीं है. अगर यहाँ पे फॉरेन की नहीं होती तो भी हम लिख सकते हैं, क्योंकि हम देखो कंडीशन तो लगा ही रहे हैं कि वेयर ब्रांच की HOD ID इक्वल टू प्रोफेसर की ID. फॉरेन की यूज़ करना जरूरी नहीं है, बट फॉरेन की मेक श्योर्स that you cannot insert any incorrect data. Like I cannot insert 9 here because 9 is not present. So having foreign key is good, but it's not mandatory. If we have a foreign key in a table, it's good. It makes sure that you can never enter any incorrect data, because you should never want to believe user, you should never want to trust user that he will always enter the correct data. User can always do some mistakes. So we should make sure that our system is good enough that it will not even allow you to enter the incorrect data. So फॉरेन की ये मेक श्योर करती है, फॉरेन की प्राइमरी की कि गलत डेटा जाए ना, बट इट डजेंट मीन कि फॉरेन की और प्राइमरी की इज मैंडेटरी थिंग. आप उसे छोड़ सकते हो, आप बस डेटा डालते हो उसमें ध्यान रखो कि कुछ गलत ना डालो. एक एग्जांपल बताता हूँ. ओके, सपोज आई एम क्रिएटिंग अ वेबसाइट. ओके, आई एम क्रिएटिंग अ वेबसाइट. सपोज आई हैव क्रिएटेड फेसबुक. लाइक फेसबुक जैसा कोई सोशल नेटवर्किंग साइट मैंने बनाई है, जहाँ पे मैंने पहले लोगों से साइन अप कराता हूँ, उसके बाद लोग उस पर अपना सोशल नेटवर्किंग वाले काम कर सकते हैं. तो जो जब आप लाइक when some user signs up in my website, he signs up with a username suppose or email ID. Okay, I put my email ID and I signed up. Suppose a next person who is coming up and trying to sign up with the same email ID which I entered, what it says that this ID already exists in our system. You must have seen all these things, right? This ID already exists in our system. Suppose what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open Gmail and not here at least. Let's open some incognito tab maybe. Okay, give me a second. Or not, better to do something like a gift. Okay, I'm adding a gift here. Then I am adding create account, and I give name Vishal Sahu, and I'm given my email ID which I already exist. And it is saying the username is taken, try another, right? So now at this point we are restricting user from the UI side, From the web page, I am restricting user that you cannot enter any ID which is already present in our system. This is one way of doing it. But suppose someone try to make sure that this validation error doesn't appear just by disabling JavaScript or something, and somehow still submit the form, then at the next level there should be one more check that should not allow you to create one more row in the table. जो भी हम यहाँ एंटर कर रहे हैं, there must be a database at Google server which is saving these data, right? In that data table, in that database, there must be a table called user or something related to user, and where all the emails ID are getting saved. If in that database we Vishal.online get saved twice, it will become a disaster. I can access someone else's account and someone else can access my account. So never allow something which is unique to be entered more than once in the data in the same table. Okay. So this is much important. So database schema, like database designing, how much table we are gonna create, what will be the column, what will be the primary key, what will be the foreign key, is most important part of any application, any website, any system. So what we does usually, suppose I am gonna create a new project. What is the first step of doing a project? फर्स्ट स्टेप इज रिक्वायरमेंट गैदरिंग. आप लोग सबने पढ़ा होगा FDLC लाइफ साइकिल होती है, सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट लाइफ साइकिल. फर्स्ट स्टेप इज रिक्वायरमेंट गैदरिंग, वेर यू कैप्चर ऑल द रिक्वायरमेंट, व्हाट वी आर गोना क्रिएट, व्हाट वी आर गोना क्रिएट, आस्क एवरीवन, डू अ ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग, व्हाट फीचर इट शुड हैव. So we are gonna create a website for something. I will think about that. What feature this website is gonna have? Who will be the users of the system? Is it really worth creating this website, or if just a wastage of money? A lot of discussion will happen. These are all the part of requirement gathering, that we are gathering the requirement. Then there's a thing called designing, that we design system. When we are called designing, it's not just the UI page designing. We design the whole architecture of the system, like how does it work, what technologies it will use. It will use Java for the web pages, it will use backend code, something maybe we are using Node or something else, which database it is going to use. And then before even starting the code, the most important part will be the designing the database. If database is not designed correct, the whole system, it's not matter that how good you write the code. If database is not gonna correct, your application can never work perfectly fine. So saving the database in correct way is much important. So right now, like, we are covering some SQL queries. Most of the SQL queries which you use in your daily life has already been covered. I will try to cover like 4 or 5 more specific keywords in the next session. Then kind of like whole SQL part, which is normal SQL part, which is getting used every day, will be covered. After that, we will just try to create the different tables. We will just think about that. I will give you some real world example, and we need to think which tables it should have, what columns it should have, what will be the primary key, what will be the foreign key. Thinking these things, deciding the table, deciding the column, deciding the primary key, deciding the foreign key is much more important than writing queries, because even if you forget the syntax of insert query, you will simply Google it. But if you don't understand it, what column it should have, what should be the primary key, what should be the foreign key, no one on Google can tell you that, because that's specific to your business, that's specific to your requirement. So no one, you cannot find this in Google, right?